Gentlemen, good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next order of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next item are citizens' comments. Are there any citizens to be heard? Mr. Vendetti, I think this is your time. It's for the record, be kind enough to state your name and your business address.
My name is Chester Vendetti, general partner of Vendetti Brothers Associates that owns the 40 acres on the northeast quadrant corner of Bayfront Highway and McClelland Avenue. The address is 3820 Liberty Street, Erie, PA 16509.
Thank you. So what do you...
Well, I envision putting in a subdivision over there of approximately 100 plus homes. We're in the current process of rezoning 20 acres of the 40 from C2 to R1. Engineering is being done for the small part of the road right now. And we're trying to build single-family dwellings for people that want to buy in the city, either relocate from the city or come in from out of town from other places. And what I'd like is some assistance, mostly for the home buyers, to make it easier for them, more affordable for them to come into the city. The homes will be in the area of between $220,000 to $330,000, and the infrastructure costs will be somewhere around $40,000, and any amount of money I get toward that infrastructure I will deduct from the cost of the house. On Realtor.com right now we have a house of $230,000, so that means if I got $40,000, or if they got $40,000 or whoever, I'd reduce the purchase price to $190,000. Okay. And I think that would really, with LERTA, because I think the city would desire to have as many younger people come in, although we had some calls from older people also, people who wanted to downsize their houses, and they didn't want any basements or anything like that. They just wanted a one-floor ranch or something like that. But I think a lot of young people would try and get into this house, and that's what we're trying to do. Okay. If you guys have any questions about anything at all, please, because I don't know exactly what your requirements are from what fund you're pulling from and things like that, but I'd be glad to answer any questions or get any information you want.
Thanks, Chet. I did provide for the board members in your packet is a letter from him along with some of the information and on that shared Dropbox with some additional information for the board to review as we continue to look at how we can shape our programs to benefit development and increase population within the city of Erie. Okay. So.
I know that we have a new production program that's in the works. I mean, so we're developing our criteria right now, so your comments are timely. Any questions for Mr. Vendetti? So these are for sale homes. How many are you hoping to build out?
Depending on how things lie, between 100 and 130 homes.
Oh, that's significant.
Yeah. The homes would be around 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, depending on.
And you mentioned a sales price. Could you remind me what that is again, please?
Between 220, 230 to 330. That's what we're trying. I'm really trying to compete with some of the rentals around, which have really skyrocketed lately. And of course, they don't, you know, yeah, any money you give these people will, you know, immediately increase their net worth. Because if I sell a house for $230 and they buy for $190, it's still worth $230.
Sure.
Just because they didn't, you know, pay for, you know, they didn't pay for the road, because they got somebody that had to pay for the road. So their wealth would be increased almost immediately. And I think it's really important for young people to do that, because it's very difficult for young people to create, especially when they're renting, to create wealth. It's very difficult. And LERTA helps out a lot. I mean, that was the impetus for me to start this this year.
Mr. President, so, I think my question at this particular point is, are you looking for funds up front, or are we looking for funds as the families come in? I'm trying to link that with the new production and see.
Well, okay. When you build a road, you normally don't build it for one house.
Sure.
You build it for 10, 8, 12, whatever, okay? And so what I'd like to do is at least get the money for that, so that I wouldn't have to go borrow it to do it, and then you guys take me out. But I'm flexible as to what you want to do.
So one thought is to provide either a grant or low interest loan to build out the infrastructure, the utilities.
Well, if it's a loan, I can't reduce the price on the house. No, you know.
Okay.
And I think that would be the purpose of the thing. I mean, getting money is not a big problem for putting the infrastructure in, but if I can reduce that amount, you know, by whatever you guys can. Actually, the beneficiaries are the buyers of the house.
If I recall, on the information that you sent us, I think the first section was about 13 homes. Is that correct?
Well, we can do whatever we
Roughly.
want. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a good number.
So would you be considering 40 times 30? Is that what you were looking for?
Initially, yeah. Or 40 times 100. It doesn't matter to me. You know, put in a whole, well, you can put in a whole thing if you want. Yeah. I mean, I can refine this. Talk to my engineer. See, when you go in stages, you have to be careful, because we have wetlands there, and then you have stormwater management. So it's just not a matter of just putting the road in. They then have to, you know, even though it evens out at 40,000 over the life of the project, some sections will be more expensive than others. But I don't expect you to pick up that. Whatever we come out to with the once the engineering's done, we'll know, when I bid it out to the excavators, we'll know exactly what our costs are going to be. Right now, these are estimates. And they're coming, now John Laird from Laird and Associates, he's done many subdivisions. He's got done with one in West County, or South County. And he has a pretty good idea as to what they're going to cost.
So according to where you are now, estimation, are we looking at $40,000 as the bottom price for building
As the
out?
what?
The bottom price, the bottom line for each home.
No, actually, from what he came out with, was $42,000. But you know, that's not important. It could be less. It could be less. And I'm anticipating it's going to be less, if you want the truth.
Okay.
But you know, until we get the engineering done and get bids, I don't know. And the engineering on the not on 13, on 2 houses should be done within a couple of weeks, I would think, because they started in February.
Okay.
Now, depending on how the sales, you know, look. You know, if I say, here's a house for $230,000, and we put it on the internet and say $40,000 or whatever, it's going to be reduced. You know, when you buy this in this subdivision here, we're going to get a lot of interest. Okay, So at that point in time, instead of doing 13 houses or 14 homes, we might wind up doing, 30, 20, whatever. You follow what I'm trying to say?
We do.
Yeah. So, and pre-sales are very important, very important. We've talked to, on that realtor.com, they tell me that we got 3,000 hits, 60,000 saves, and, or prints, and we're talking right now to, 6 or 7 people, some from Pittsburgh, really, want to come here. I'm talking to I was telling Charlie that this girl from Denver, she's an attorney originally from Erie. She's retired and she wants to come back to Erie, and she's really interested. She keeps on calling to see what the status is. Mm-hmm. So anyhow,
okay. Any other questions? Or again, we're still developing, so you're taking your input, and that will help us craft, I think, our policies going forward. And
Yeah.
If you had an idea, how long will this take, you think? If you had an idea, how long would the development take?
What our process is, probably, Mr. Snipper would be
Probably,
able to answer that.
yeah, another 2 to 3 months to finalize the guidelines.
Is that too fast?
Yeah.
We'll slow down then.
Well, how about this, and I'll just make a deal. I'll say, look, in asterisks, this is what we have.
No.
Okay.
We'll try to
All
move
right,
things along because as Mr. Snipper points out, we're anxious to get some programs going, some money on the street, so we can get our programs going and invite folks and repopulate the city. That's really a major goal for us right now.
Well, if anybody has any questions, please. Is there a number in this thing that I left?
I think there is. I think we have your letter and...
Yeah, there's a number on your letterhead.
Oh, okay.
440-5151.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Aaron, if you have any questions, please call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chet.
Whatever you need, Is that?
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for coming in.
Attorney Vendetti, I'm not sure, sir.
Oh.
I just wanted to make a suggestion. I'm not sure you're familiar with some of the programs that we do have coming out. It might be advantageous to at least review some things that may be coming out that may be helpful or would assist some of the people that you have coming.
You want me to review them?
Well, you'll see them. They're going
Yeah,
to be
we've had conversations
you did?
about what
Okay.
we have, yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I mean, if you want me to review them, I will. But
No, you're ahead of us, or me at least.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Thanks, Chet.
Any other citizens to be heard? Hearing none, we'll move on to the financial report.
All right, so in front of you is the statement of activity as of April, the end of April, from January to the end of April, along with the statement of financial position showing the balances in the different accounts. Also provided the year-to-date budget versus actual spreadsheet. We're still working on QuickBooks and getting that and evaluating some different options there, along with the check detail from April, identifying and showing all of the checks that were written during the month of April.
Excellent.
Were there any questions? I'm a little bit behind my homework here and did not review last night like I should have. Anyone?
No.
Questions, comments? Are we looking for a motion to accept the financial reports as presented? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Perfect, thank you. All right, we turn over to item D, which is the report of the executive director. First off is the housing rehabilitation report.
All right, so housing rehabilitation report, lead hazard control grants moving ahead. We have 62 completed projects, 7 under contract. Holly and Cynthia attended program manager school earlier this month, got some good information. We're going to work on revising our benchmarks and getting those over to our program specialists so that we can get those completed. The Healthy Homes program is moving along fairly well, processing applications, projects, identifying contractors and getting those under contract. City CDBG, as always, is just kind of moving along. So we're identifying some projects there along with the home program. The county funding, as you see on the agenda, we have the whole home repair contract. Other than that, we continue to work through all of those and bring on additional contractors, which has been working fairly well over the last month or so of identifying new contractors who are interested in bidding. So that's the housing rehabilitation report.
For the Housing Authority of the City of Erie lead hazard control, when are bids due back?
We've sent over the scopes to them.
Mm-hmm.
They have not put out the RFP to this point that I am aware of.
Got it.
So I think they identified well over 200 units. We've evaluated, I think, over about 25 of them now, and identified lead in a little over 12. I think it's 12 or 13 right now. So we're sending them over in batches so they can bid them out instead of the 47 that they did the last time.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. I don't see Mr. Sundberg in the audience.
He is not going to make it today.
Right.
So he sent the solicitor report over. I can go through it real briefly. So we're still waiting on 405 East 7th Street and 1615 Parade Street to get back from the Commonwealth so that we can get those finalized. 2708 Downing, the hearing on the valuation has been rescheduled to May 23rd. 221 Locust Street, we had the hearing. The Board of Viewers did a viewing of the property. Now we are scheduled, I believe we have a hearing scheduled for that, right, Mindy? In June, for them to review that. Still waiting on some other items. We have 602 West 9th Street hearing was rescheduled for May 25th. Finalizing our condemnations along with some of the other property sales. Any questions we could pass along to Attorney Sundberg?
We're good.
All right.
I think we're good.
Okay. And then I will just roll right into my general updates.
Please.
The Historic Building Improvement Grant. The Historic Review Commission has approved several of those grant requests. We're working on finalizing the grant agreement. We'll get those individuals into the office to sign that grant agreement and get those projects moving forward. There's been a fairly decent response to that, and hopefully once we get a few successful projects out there and publicized, that response will increase. As far as our RACB grant, we've submitted an extension and we're granted another extension until November of 2023. We have a meeting scheduled for next week with EMTA to try to finalize our segment 3 payment request that EMTA is waiting on Michael Coates to get some additional information from, along with hopefully getting the grant dollars in place to finalize segment 5 and get this grant finalized. So given the construction probably won't start until late fall, early next year, we fully anticipate having to do another extension, but hopefully that will be our final extension on this RACB grant, and we'll be able to get that closed out. Okay. Keystone Blight Grant, we've submitted for reimbursement of that $150,000 grant. Negotiated that with the state, provided them some additional documentation, so they have submitted that to Department of Revenue for payment, so that should be coming in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Along with the Keystone Serve Erie Facade Grant that we were assigned from Serve Erie, we've been granted an extension request on that as well, since that aligns very well with our East Bayfront Greenway Trail project, and we'll be able to kind of marry and leverage and stack those funds with the other resources that we're utilizing for that Greenway Trail project. So that is my updates for today.
Any questions? No. Okay, great. I think we're on to unfinished and new business.
All right. So first up is the Blade property acquisition. In front of you is a resolution for the condemnation action against 6 industrial lots located over off of basically between Liberty and Raspberry Street. These are 6 industrial lots that have been declared blighted by the Blighted Property Review Committee. Designation was carried forth by the Planning Commission, and now we're seeking board resolution to authorize the condemnation action against those lots so that we can acquire them and pass them on to the County Redevelopment Authority for further development.
Okay. That happened pretty quickly, too. That's good. Yeah, moved along fast. Any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented in our packets?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstains? Any nays? Motion carries.
All right, so New Revelation Full Gospel Baptist Church Incorporated. All right, so this is, and I don't know how much the board remembers conversation. I think we had it at the study session a month or so ago. This is 3 parcels of land that have been blighted by the Blighted Property Review Committee. They were tax exempt. We have successfully got the tax exemption removed from that property, so they are acquiring back taxes currently. However, the situation is that the property is continuously getting broken into. We have had Public Works boarded up.
Could we pause for a moment?
Yes.
This is the Sarah Hearn Church?
Sarah Hearn Church, yes.
So, okay. Those of us who are old timers.
So we're kind of at a situation as to where the R West Bayfront and neighbors surrounding the church have kind of asked to see if the Redevelopment Authority would want to acquire that church and do something with it. And so really right now I'm putting it in front of the board to kind of gauge the thoughts as far as acquiring that and providing some different options. I know really I don't have all the answers yet. I don't really want to expend a lot of funds on it unless the board feels as if we should move forward with that exploratory analysis on the property. Key Bank holds a mortgage on the property. I've provided that in the Dropbox for you to review. That is the only thing that is on the property currently following a title search. Key Bank does not have any willingness to foreclose on the property. They are basically just going to sit on it forever. So we really, our options are we file condemnation action against the property. We would have to do an appraisal on the property, which more than likely would come back with value. We would have to pay just compensation, which would in turn end up probably going back to Key Bank. We could wait until the property comes up to judicial tax sale, which is looking like additional 2 years before it would, so it would probably be the 2025 judicial tax sale, and the Erie Land Bank could option the parcels off the tax sale for $1,188. That's still 2 years out. Or Key Bank is willing to assign the mortgage over to the Redevelopment Authority, in which the Redevelopment Authority could file foreclosure action against the property. Key Bank, out of the generous nature of their heart, would do that for free. Since they really don't want the mortgage anyways. So those are our 3 options. And really it's a nuisance property. However, I'm not really sure what interest there is in the community for repurposing that church. And Mindy can add her opinion too as well. But we've looked at, we could explore if there was anybody in there that would want to develop it or do something with it. Really, we could also explore what the demolition cost of that would be. So those are really my thoughts on it, and I will stop there for questions and comments and anything else.
Is everyone familiar with this site?
I am. I've not been there in some time, but Mindy, I'm assuming you've been out there.
Yes. I think part of the issue with when we start to talk about repurposing it is a lot of the ideas that come forward immediately are probably not what the neighborhood would want if you look at low-income housing or things like that. So that's the problem. It's an interesting layout as far as the building goes, again, for repurposing it. So, but it would take some time to figure that out. So.
And I was in the building maybe a year or so ago and everything. It's a big project.
Yeah.
However, it's significant as well.
Yes, it is.
It's, you know, it's.
And there's some really great architecture in there. There's some really great pieces still left in there. Hopefully that they're not damaged from all the break-ins that it's been having. But I think the neighborhood deserves somebody to do something with it, though.
Correct. I'm told that somebody recently secured the building better than it was before.
Public Works has been out there, I think, now 3 times to board it up. It was broken into as recently as last Friday again. 2 individuals, I believe, were arrested for that break-in.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was seen, so that the police were called. But as much as we board it up, they find somewhere else to get in. So that's kind of where we're at. It's becoming a burden on the city of Erie, since, you know, Public Works is responsible for boarding it up since the owner is absent. And, you know, of course, the neighbors are the ones dealing with the constant calls of, you know, people being in there in the middle of the night. So talked to Gene, you know, foreclosure action. Of course, we could file foreclosure action against it once the mortgage was assigned to us. We could ask the former owner if we could locate them to sign a deed in lieu of foreclosure, but not really sure how willing or how easy it would be to find that former owner and actually get that to happen. So, like I said, we really haven't put it out on the street. We haven't shopped around. We haven't really talked to anybody about it. We could also explore demolition costs, but there is going to be a substantial asbestos abatement with that project, so we'd be looking at a brownfield environmental type of remediation with the property. So, you know, but then again, there's also been conversations, there's some salvage there as well. You know, if we were to demolish it, between the windows and some of the other architectural features that the church has. So, you know, just really kind of trying right now to gauge the, you know, the board's willingness to kind of go down that, you know, research road to see what kind of possibilities there are out there for it.
Has there been thought about potentially RFQing the site? So, you know, with the site in mind, just soliciting interest from various developers once it's in the city's hands, of course, or the authorities' hands, of course, and just seeing what ideas they might have for the site, just because, as you say, that's a substantial cost to, you know, whether it's demo, asbestos remediation, other environmental concerns.
Yeah, we've thought about that, and it's certainly an option. It's really the fact of, you know, once the authority were to start that process of acquiring it, now we're liable for that building. We're responsible for boarding it up, you know, and you know, we do have art mitigation, you know, blight mitigation funds from the city of Erie. Whether or not, you know, what out of that budget we could still utilize for that church, I'm not really positive. We really haven't looked at that. But again, going down this road, you know, is going to cost us some money, and we're going to be stuck holding the church and all its costs at the end.
Do you have a general idea on maintenance costs if you were to acquire it? What?
Right now, I believe we were close to $100,000 just to stop the roof leak, patch the slate roof, and patch the leaking flat roof on the back of it. That's just patches to the roof. The roof probably will need a complete replacement, you know, so there's costs there. But just maintenance-wise, to get it so that it could be stabilized in the meantime, I mean, we're probably, you know, with board and seal to secure it so nobody could get in, a good $150,000 to $175,000.
Any thought as to just gaining site control through a, you know, 10, 12, 18-month document, and then shop and do an RFQ?
That's kind of where we haven't reached out to the owner.
Okay.
So we could explore trying to identify and have a conversation with the owner to gain that control, but right now, really, there's nobody. There is no site control. We've kind of explored conservatorship for the property, you know, to get court action to grant us the ability to control the property, or, you know, the R West Bayfront Group or something like that. But we really haven't spent the time on it since, you know, really there's no reimbursement for it at this point.
Sure. This is not the easiest problem to solve.
No.
And I think about the other, you know, staff resources and you know, focusing on other programs and so on.
Yeah.
This is a big project. It really is.
And it's not, there's a lot of buildings like this across the city of Erie, and it's certainly something that if we we go down this, path of acquiring this property, there might be other ones that people come looking at us to acquire, and whether or not, we are in that position to do that. That's the question. We do this one, then another neighborhood group wants us to take one over on, the east side, or, whatever it would be. There's a lot of old churches in the city of Erie, and schools.
Do we know what the mortgage is on the property?
150, 140, it's around there. It was in like,
Outstanding.
Yeah.
That's the least of our worries, I think.
No, I was really thinking, if there is a developer or an investor out there, how likely are they to actually go after something if there was a mortgage that was at a good price? And we don't know if KeyBank is going to be able to work with someone, or do they want to?
I don't think KeyBank has any interest in doing really anything with it, other than they know they hold the note on the property, and that is about it. They don't. I mean, Anna got us in contact with an attorney who, was talking on behalf of KeyBank, but that's really about the only conversation we've had with them in regards to the property. And really, like I said, they have no willingness to foreclose on the property. They don't want it, but so they're just kind of leaving it there, since it's not their responsibility, as long as they don't foreclose on it.
And they've probably already written off the full amount.
They're
probably
acquired.
not expecting any repayment. So I think if a developer were to come in, especially considering the magnitude of any project that they were going to do, they try negotiating with KeyBank, probably offer $50,000. KeyBank will be like, sold, and then they can just write that into the development budget.
Yeah, this was acquired from First Niagara when KeyBank acquired them. So
an old one.
Can you give us an easier problem to work on?
I know, right?
This is challenging. It really is. I mean, I think that's, at least for myself, I've got a keen interest in preserving. I know some of the neighbors who are seeing this as a safety concern, understanding that the city of Erie will have, there's probably 6 or 8 or a dozen of these kinds of properties that are going to pop up and so on, and then knowing what the authority's capacity is, and then the pressures to launch these new programs, and trying to figure all this all at the same time.
Yeah. Certainly, of the 3 options to acquire it, foreclosure or tax sale would be the 2 favorable, given that, condemnation, I really would not want to pay KeyBank any money for the property. So
Correct.
Yeah, so wait 2 years or do something now, but then all the costs that come along with that.
Yeah.
I wish I had more as far as how we could cover those costs, but again, that's time and money we would have to put into it without any hopes of reimbursement on it.
So with this being a vacant building, does the authority self-insure for vacant buildings, or would the authority be able to go on, like, I don't know if the city has like any vacant property insurance, but surely this wouldn't fall under the general liability policy of the authority or the city. So if we were to acquire it, would 100% of the liability fall on the authority?
Yes.
Would the authority's affiliate entity then be able to acquire it, then place a vacant building policy on the building and kind of shield the authority from some potential liability from vandalism and injury?
The safest placement for it would be in the authority's hands.
Okay.
So do you have a tentative recommendation for the board?
My recommendation would be for us to, over the next month before the June board meeting, to explore if there is any potential interest for redevelopment of it within the neighborhood, and explore potential demolition costs, and come back to the board at the June meeting with those costs and any interest from neighborhood groups or such that we could kind of quietly solicit to kind of pique any interest on it, and let you know at that time.
I've seen some photographs of the interiors. I'm not sure how the person who shall remain nameless got in or anything like that. But with circulating some photographs with the rest of the board members, would that be of interest?
It would be.
Yeah.
And also, if there are neighborhood groups that are looking for their property to be developed as opposed to demolished, what are they looking for? What would they like to see? I mean, I think some of those things are important. It might bring some attraction outside the city, you know, if we know what that looks like, or even in the city.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can bring that to the board.
But being proactive in soliciting the developer, and it could be a national developer, you know, so they
Yeah.
very likely, I think, would be a good thing for us to do.
Or even a self-development opportunity with the housing authority, perhaps, sharing some developer fee if doing a LIHTC development. Is this in a QCT?
Yes.
Okay. Might be competitive for HP funds from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. I assume we're just like spitballing all options on
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah,
at this
we're kind
point,
of in a
there's
gray
no bad
area.
idea.
Yeah.
We'll take them all in every, because I think we care very much about, again, the neighborhood, the architectural, interest of the building.
Okay. We'll pick it up, float it across the lake to Canada, and it won't be a problem.
Yeah, we can certainly send out some pictures to the board. I mean, it's a shame. It's a beautiful structure in the middle of a neighborhood that's just become a nuisance, and certainly the authority is, I guess, in the position we could help. It's a matter of making sure we do the right thing.
So I feel that we should do whatever we can, just start the study process, and spend a little time on it. But I mean, not considering it, that doesn't feel good to me. I think we need to really consider, see if could potentially be a viable plan.
Okay.
All right, so I'll see if I can locate the pictures and send them on to you, and maybe put them in the Dropbox so we can all grab them then. And
Yeah, I believe I have some too from the one time my camera fell in the building.
Understood. All right, well, thank you for indulging the conversation. That's good. Appreciate that. So I think we're on to number 3, the loan programs.
Yes. So in front of you are some of the term sheets for 3 of the loan programs under the authority's housing plan. We met with the ENGP membership on April 13th to kind of walk through some of these programs, and have put together kind of the discussion, recommendations, thoughts beyond what we had kind of looked at on that day. Starting with the new production loan program, really there's some interest to develop some new structures within the city of Erie. The neighborhood groups have kind of worked together, and I also included in your packet kind of a scattered site phasing plan that Anna, Jeremy, and Heather from our West Bayfront, Best, and Sisters St. Joseph have been working on. They've certainly been putting together some work as far as how they could potentially develop some of their lots, some of our lots within their neighborhoods, and things like that. So, that's kind of where the new production loan program has kind of came out of, is looking at how we could support the nonprofit organizations, the for-profit organizations, and provide funding for them to either acquire and rehabilitate, or construct new homes within the city of Erie. So, we're looking at, potential 12-month construction term, the ability to roll it into a 10-year loan, kind of a difference in rates between nonprofit and for-profit, and then just some general costs as far as loan programs and structure there as far as that goes. So, certainly feel it would be a benefit to the city of Erie, and for especially the nonprofits to have the ability to pull from a loan program that would be a lot less, I guess, strings attached and paperwork than a bank would have.
Sure.
And a little bit more flexible.
Well, and we know these organizations, so the credit risk doesn't, is not great. I mean,
Right, yeah, our risk is minimal with
Yeah.
dealing with them.
Mhm.
so I see there's the 3 new
Yeah, we
production.
got-
Are you there yet?
No, go ahead, sorry.
I was just say, are these updated since last time we saw these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, these have been updated, like I said, with the recommendations from the ENGP.
Right.
I said there's the contractor loan program and a rental investment loan program, really putting them in front of the board, kind of see how the thoughts were on them and kind of some approval to move forward with creating guidelines for final approval at the next board meeting. Really didn't want to go forward with guidelines until the board had a chance to review the recommendations from the ENGP.
Mr. President, this has been on the table for some time now.
Mhm.
We've been really discussing, we've studied through it. I think we need to begin to move forward. We do have some time constraints to get things done with what we have. And I think delaying it would just retard too many things.
Sure.
So I think we need to move forward with setting some guidelines and go forward and do it.
And I think the last step was ENGP to kind of review and provide input, then, which I feel good about. I mean,
Yeah.
to the the end user and say, is this going to work for you?
Yeah, for the most part, as far as new production, they're going to be the majority of our end user. Contractor loan program, of course, that, contractors are going to be but we utilize them, the contractors. And then rental investment, we certainly have plenty of landlords that we've dealt with and have already reached out to several of those that are thoroughly intrigued with the possibility of applying for a loan. So
Sure.
there's interest there for sure.
Yeah. So, Mr. Stibber, are you looking for a motion to accept these 3 as
Yes.
printed in our packets? Mr. Nelson, would you like to make that?
I so move that we accept these programs that have been submitted and move towards setting guidelines for the applications for these programs.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? No. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And thanks to you and all staff members for the work.
Yes.
It takes a village to get these done, so I appreciate that.
All right. So Erie County Whole Home Repair Program, I provided you an agreement between the county and the Redevelopment Authority for the Whole Home Repair Program. The authority's contract is for $1.8 million for work up to $24,999 per unit. We will get a cost per unit for administration of $2,850.17. The municipalities identified on our agreement is because we are going to split the county between the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Erie and the Quarry Redevelopment Authority. They are going to handle really the municipalities down around the city of Quarry, over into Union City, up into Amity and Greenfield Township. So we've already worked with them, provided them some boilerplate documents, and we'll continue to kind of work with them and help them. We know Quarry needs as much as every other municipality, so we want to make sure that they can focus on that. But that agreement's there for your review. Really just need board approval for us for me to sign and enter into that agreement.
I assume it has, but has this been reviewed by council on our end? Okay.
Yeah, the only modification which I was aware of our legal name needs, of course, it's not the Erie Redevelopment Authority, so that's, yeah.
Any questions? And you're looking for a motion to accept the agreement as presented?
Yes.
Is there a motion to accept the agreement as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, on to number 5, East Bayfront Trail property acquisition.
All right, so in front of you is a resolution. So as we continue to work on the Bayfront Greenway Trail project, and we're working with Michael Baker, and they're working on finalizing the design for that. We've done several visits and walks to the neighborhood. But as we start to look at that, and as properties start to come on sale in the private market, we wanted to get the board's approval to proceed with negotiating and finalizing some of those sales. I know, we're going to get the plan in front of the board for approval, but, we wanted really the board's authorization to start negotiating on some of those properties as they come online or come available, so that we're in the position to start to build the properties for that trail. We have the funding for it. The plan, like I said, is almost complete. We meet next week, but really just wanted a board resolution to authorize us to enter into some of those sales agreements on properties.
Do we have a sense as to the number of properties that would likely comprise this project?
Well, the original plan was upwards of 50 blighted properties or vacant lots, and we've identified a substantial amount of properties. It's a matter of working them through the process at this point. So, and really, there's ones that have come on as on the private market that we've missed, that we certainly wish we would have been aware of and in the position to get, that we were unable to. So we just really want to be in the position to get what we have, and if Mindy identifies something that we can move on, then we want to be able to move on it.
Sure. Because once this hits the streets, the prices, of course.
Yeah.
And that's probably already happened. That's probably already happened.
It's already happened.
Is there a limit to the purchase price, or are you, and I'm hoping the answer is yes to this, but are you kind of given free rein to negotiate as needed to acquire the parcels?
I guess we would certainly not overpay for a property.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was asking.
We certainly want the ability to negotiate, dependent upon its proximity to the trail plan.
Right.
And it's I guess, the factors involved with that.
Yeah, basically, what I was asking more was, there aren't, after we pass this, going to be any administrative constraints to your ability to, be nimble with the market?
No.
Got it.
And you probably have a couple different mechanisms to approach a property owner. And my guess is if you have a property owner that's asking too much, do you go through a process of getting multiple appraisals and taking an average? Is that...
Yeah, we've actually, and then the next item on the agenda, we've already started, Mindy's authorized the appraisals on how many? I think 50? Yeah. 50 properties within the area to start to gain some of that knowledge as far as the value of the properties.
Good, yeah. I should have known you. You're right on it, so that's great. Appreciate that. That's all right. Okay. So we have a resolution in front of us. Is there a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstains or nays? Hearing none, motion carries to accept the resolution as presented. Now we have item 6, which is the East Bayfront Trail Project Grant application.
Yeah, so in front of you is a resolution. The grant application requires a board resolution to apply for the grant. It's for the DECD Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant, up to $250,000. Funding for acquisition we could utilize to leverage with our ARP funds. There is a 15% match. Again, of course, we could utilize the East Bayfront Greenway Trail program to match that. So we just, like I said, the resolution for us to apply for that grant.
All right, any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And finally, business item we're going to table is a personnel matter, and I am in the process of compiling information regarding that. Then I'll reach out to the board members later this week, and then we'll work out with Mr. Stipper the action plan on how to move forward. Then, if that's okay with everyone. I'm a little
Sorry, my day job was getting in the way a little bit this last week, so I apologize for that. But I do want to keep the process moving ahead then, so for a good cause. So if you give me a few more days, I'll be right back with you. Is there any other business to consider?
That is all I have.
That's all. I think we're all good? Ladies and gentlemen of the board, we're good? All right, let's go. So motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is, or the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.